Perfect. So thanks for this. Just for introduction, so I'm working on behalf of QA Pillars. So part of our entire process is to give yourself, better experience, in the interviewing process by, challenging you with interview questions and having a mock interview to be prepared for the market in general. So this includes general interview questions along with, questions on the three topics of which you wanted to discuss, which are Scrum, defect, defect management, and regression testing. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
And before we begin, can you just confirm that you consent to me recording this meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. Perfect. Okay, but let's get going. So, first things first. So, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
Yeah, okay. So I am a QA, for now I'm a QA lead in Matic Insurance Company. So I have 6 QAs under my responsibility. I work as QA for more than 7 years. It's mostly manual QA and worked on different projects, different types of projects, and web, mobile, desktop, different domains, entertainment, insurance, healthcare, and so on. Also, I work as a full-time and sometimes as a part-time on Upwork as a freelancer to gain new skills, to try new tools, maybe to work on some startups because startup has very interesting pace and it's always keeping you in shape. And also, I was working as a lecturer in IT Academy for 2 years. So I was a teacher of QA department, and also more than 70 students were graduated from this IT school.
Okay, fantastic. So currently speaking, you have 6 QAs working under you. Is that correct?
Yeah. One
And
automation, 5 manual.
okay, so you are working as tech lead above them. So what
Yeah.
are your responsibilities for managing them, basically?
So it's wide bunch of responsibilities, but mostly it's communication with the team, prioritize work, some reviews, one-to-one meetings, also implementing some maybe updates on new approaches in testing, developing some test documentation. We are trying every time to use something new or to try something new. So we are configuring and updating our test process. For example, now we are working on a continuous testing. So we have more than 20, 30 releases per day. So we need to be aware that everything is okay. And also sometimes helping with testing if the team is overloaded. So I can switch to any team and help them with it.
Okay, interesting. So, what kind of products is your team working on currently?
Uh, one more time, please.
What type of products are your team working on currently?
Okay. We are like a insurance domain. We have one product. It's like a place where you can find the best price for insurance, and we have this one product has several projects that are uh, one addition of another. For example, you need to go some workflow, and on this workflows, every project is helping with it. So
Okay, so it's one product with numerous different elements in your
yeah,
team overall.
yeah.
Okay, so given that, so I imagine that every single QA or QA teams are divided into different aspects. How do you coordinate communication between the teams?
Coordinate communication. We have a QA sync call once per week, where we are it's some kind of synchronization of our work, what is happening on any project, if we have problems or something else. Also, I'm communicating every day with guys, for example, asking if everything is okay, do you need some help, what is the status of this, what is happening there, and so on. So we're trying to communicate frequently, because we need to have fast feedback, and this QA sync helps us to be on the same page with the team, because some changes on one project can affect other projects, so we need to know what is happening where.
Okay. And how do you coordinate communication with outside team stakeholders, such as the development team and business analysts and so on?
Mostly I am I set some calls like one-to-one with team leads and with product managers. So we are always communicating about, again, what is happening, what is planned to do, maybe one new features. Do you have any feedback about keywords, or maybe you have some suggestions, or do you have some problems because there are different people and something can not work as somebody is willing to work. And also, for example, as tech leads, we have a lot of communication about automation, what to automate, what needs project has to automate to make our QA life easier, because manual testing taking more time than automation.
Yeah.
And also, we with this continuous testing process that we have implemented, developers also helping us with testing with automation tests. They support them, so we need always to be on communication and on the same page.
Okay. And so how would you deal with, say, conflicts with stakeholders? For example, you say you find the defect and you send it to the developers, and the developers come back and say, oh, this isn't a defect. How have you dealt with that in the past?
Oh, it's a standard situation, I think, in all teams. If speaking about our product, it's a little bit other situation, because we have quality is some kind of our culture, and we made some such progress with it. So for quality in our product is responsible not only QAs, responsible DevOps, developers, and everybody who is working there. So it's not a problem to say them that this is a bug. But I have such situation in other projects. So if there is a bug and developers say that this is a bug, it's a feature, so I try to show them as much details as I can, so it will show that it's not how it should work. For example, some video recording or some screenshots or information from console where we can see the error and why this error is happening, or if it's a bug that caused because of behavior, so then explain that from user perspective it's not okay and it will not work because users are using this, for example, application that way, and it's not working as they expected.
Okay, interesting. So I want to move on to regression testing. So can you explain to me why regression testing is important?
Regression testing is important because if we are implementing some big features or important features, and if we will be making some testing only of something new and not check the old features, we can miss a lot of small things that will appear in a greater thing. And also, as a rule, if we are implementing some big features, it can even broke some main functionality. And if we will be believing that we need to check only some little part of the application, so we can have big problems.
Okay. And how do you prioritize regression testing when time and resources are constrained?
Uh, by prioritization of the test cases, if we have test cases, because somebody write in this case, somebody not, or checklist. But we have vision of application. We know the main features and what is important. And for example, if we have 5 hours for regression testing and to test the whole application or do the full regression, we'll have 10 hours. So we are testing the most critical and high priority features. And if we will have some middle defect, let's say, so I think that user can live with it, for example, several days, and we will make some hotfix. So it's okay. And of course, it should be agreed with a product owner or with stakeholders that guys, we have a limited time and we can't test everything that we have on our application. If it will be okay if we'll test only this part that are the most important functionality. And I think in most cases it should work.
Okay. And one of the big issues with testing is the more you test, the more you have to continue testing, especially regression testing. So how do you manage the regression testing suite just expending more and more time and taking more and more resources? How do you manage that?
Again, cases should be updated continuously, and also we will add some new tests, and of course I think that we should remove some old tests or update the old tests, because if we will be only adding new tests and will not updating it, this cases will not give them us a correct result, because something changed, we not change these cases, and our test suite will not be up to date. And it's like in test principles that these cases should be also always updated. And also if we are finding some defects, they also need to be updated with step or with some note about this, or added as an edge case.
Okay. And moving on to Scrum now. So what's your experience working in Scrum?
I work in different types of Scrum, let's say, because Scrum is a big name of the process, yeah, but it's hard to find a real team that works on correct Scrum, because, for example, as a rule, daily call should be 15 minutes, and you should discuss only several topics: what to do, what we'll be doing, do you have any obstacles. But there was such teams where daily code was an hour, and they start to look into the code why it's not working and something like that. Uh, Also, I have experience a little bit as a Scrum Master in my project. I was doing as a Scrum and PA. So in this case, my main responsibilities was meetings. So it's retrospective, daily calls. So I was like a police officer and said, guys, we can do it after call. We have a limited time. And also helping team with some organizational stuff, something like that.
Okay. And how do you, what are some effective methods you can use for performing testing during the sprinting time constraint?
Um, can you repeat what
Yeah.
exactly?
So what are some effective methods for achieving your testing strategy can you implement for your team when they're constrained with the sprint time constraints, basically?
Uh, 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 for now, it's a little bit hard to answer, because mostly we are working on a Kanban instead of Scrum.
Okay.
But yeah, but if we have, for example, 2 week sprint and we have some work, so to do, as I understand correctly, how we are planning our work for the 2 week sprint, or for some sprint, or what exactly? Because maybe I don't understand correctly the question.
So, I mean, if you have a 2 week sprint and you have time constraints, what strategies would you implement to ensure that your team can achieve your testing, high level testing strategies? So, how would you
Mhm.
prioritize? How would you manage that within that time constraint, basically?
Uh, mostly on the planning. We were given estimates. For example, if developers were given the estimates for the tickets, yeah, so we were adding 1 point, 2 points for testing. And if we see that, for example, it was a great, a big feature, so we were adding more ticket, more time for this. So mostly every ticket or feature should have some time for testing. So we will be not overloaded at the end, because when we started work, we have problems with testing, because on the last 2 days we have a lot of work to do, a lot of testing, and we um often we can't finish testing in time, and we understand that it is because we are not adding the time for testing. When we start adding time to testing, velocity a little bit became smaller for developers, but we have more time for testing, and it helps team with quality and with time management.
And how do you estimate for testing?
Uh, uh, we were estimating the same as with developers. We were using like a planning poker technique. So we were estimating how difficult is the story or is the ticket, how many time it can take, because we know exactly how developers are developing, and we know we were knowledge holders of application. It was easier to give estimate, because for example, if you add some button, it's understand that maybe 10-15 minutes and it will be enough, or if you have small bug that maybe misspelling. But if you're implementing some feature with purchase or something like that, so it can be 1-2 days of testing, deep testing.
And just how could and have you been involved in retrospectives as well?
uh how I lead
Scrum,
retrospective, or how we,
in Scrum retrospectives, basically for the sprints.
yeah, we have team retrospective at the end of the sprint, and
How does QA
where
contribute to that exactly?
uh yeah, okay, contributed a lot, uh because there were a lot of issues, a lot of situations. For example, as I said earlier, when for example we had 2 week sprint, and first week we don't have anything for testing, and then the last 2 days all tickets are moving for testing, and of course we can't release a lot of this stuff, or we will release but we'll not check something and then bugs appears. Or for example, we made a release and then we realized that there is a bug, in case miss this bug, so we start to communicate, investigate on retro why it happened, why we missed this bug, and so on. And there were a lot of situation, a lot of discussion on retro, but mostly we have a lot of stuff to discuss in this meeting.
Okay. And we have defect management. So can you explain your process in defect management currently?
Yeah, I think mostly it's a standard process, but for example, uh, when we are testing some ticket or user story, and when we found a bug, we are creating it, and uh, moving back story if it's a critical or high priority bug. But if it's a middle or low priority defect, and the stakeholder said that we can live with it sometimes, so we can create this ticket, create the bug, but ticket we can move to, for example, for release. And Defect has a standard structure. It's a summary, description, priority, attachments, actual expected result, and as much as we can add details to defects, so we can make developers' life easier and faster investigation of the issue and faster fixing of it.
Okay. And for example, say you find a defect, do you continue testing or do you wait for a new build? How does that work in your current structure?
No, continue because we can find several defects during testing of some feature or ticket. And if we will find one ticket, found one defect, and they developers will fix it, then we will start testing and found another bug. So it will take more time that we will find everything we can, and they will fix it in one time.
Okay. And have you ever been in a situation? Oh, sorry, before that. So as you say, you continue testing. When do you do the regression testing? Would you restart the regression testing, waiting for a new build from the developer, or do you continue with your regression testing? How does that work in terms of when you find a defect?
If we are speaking about sprint testing, for example, that the developer finished his work with some feature. So when I found this defect, it goes to development again, and after it, I doing retesting of this ticket, and then can make small regression of areas that can be touched with it, because it depends how difficult this and big feature was, so how many areas it can affect. So
Okay.
maybe we can do a small regression, or maybe we need to make a regression of the whole app.
Okay. And have you ever been in a situation where a defect has been released to production and wasn't caught?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
There was different situations. Now it is a little bit easier because we have these frequent releases and frequent hot fixes. So we are releasing with small features, and we know exactly what its problem is, and it quick fix. But earlier, when we were working as a 2-week sprint and one release per 2 weeks, yeah, we have such situation. It was different situation. One time it was that we missed a bug, QA team for testing, and it was a rush and make a release, and then then customers start to reporting that something is not working, and we found the issue and start to dig in developers to fix it. Sometimes it was that we released and again app was not working, but it wasn't a QA problem. It was something on developer side, and also there was some situation with servers also. But yeah, we are all humans. We can make mistakes, but the best thing is to have as small situation as we can.
Okay. So just a few questions regarding your CV. So I see here that you provide high direction for multiple test teams, delivering a clear and consistent vision for functionality. How have you gone about doing that, defining the clear vision for functionality?
Clear vision of functionality.
Mhm. How have you delivered that, excuse me? Or
Uh,
provided direct.
uh, as if I understand correctly, so for example, if I have feature, how I deliver and how to test it, yeah, or not?
Yeah, how have you, yeah. It says here in CV, providing high direction for multiple test teams, delivering clear and consistent vision and functionality.
Mm-hmm.
So can you elaborate
Okay.
more on this basically?
Yeah, so I'm working this project for 5 years, so I know very well every corner of the application. So if we are adding some new project or if we are adding new features, so I know exactly how it will be working, what it will affect, and also when we are adding something new, uh, I'm I'm present on this some knowledge meetings, some discussions, and after it, I am sharing information with my QA team. We are planning who will be working on the project, how to test it, how to what we need to have on this project, maybe what tools to use, also what to do with automation. Will we when or when it will be started, how, and do we need it, and something like that.
Okay, fantastic. And says here as well, you had implementation of company-wide new processes. So what new
Yeah.
processes have you implemented?
The last one is this continuous testing and quality case that I mentioned. So we switched from the standard testing process for 2 week sprints to continuous testing, and now we are testing more on production, not on test environment, and we are doing more accent on automation and also proactive testing. We are using some monitoring tools where we set alerts, so we know exactly that everything is okay with memory, with other stuff, with application, and we are not spending our time for this. Also, we are working closely with developers. So, for example, we are not testing small features; it's tested by developers. On the requirement stage, we write some testing notes for developers what exactly needs to be checked. So we are aware that they will test it and check. And also we do a lot of calls with product managers and stakeholders to be aware what is going to be developed, what features will be added, and creating a plans and counting a risk that we can have. So again, to be more proactively added to this.
Okay, fantastic. And my final question here, again, just referring to your CV, you said you use and draw metrics to facilitate decision makings at all levels. How have you used metrics to drive decision making?
We are using a lot of metrics related to QA activities, for example, some defect density, created, resolved bugs, by whom created, by whom closed bugs, and we can see the deviations from some alerts that we set, and also when we see some deviation like created a lot of created bugs, why there was created a lot of bugs, and also if we see that for example high priority bugs, why they have high priority or critical priority, if for example they are living for 1 week. If we have critical bug, it should be fixed for 24 hours, and such kind of situations.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. That's pretty much all my questions. I'm going to stop the recording here. One sec. Stop.